I never thought my worst nightmare would unfold inside my own home. But that night, when I saw my baby's crib empty, a cold chill ran down my spine. My heart pounded wildly. I scanned the room. Shadows stretched across the walls. The window was shut, and an eerie silence filled the space. My hands trembled as I knelt to check under the crib. Nothing. How was this possible? Just moments ago, I had tucked my son in. My husband was still at work, and the only other person in the house was my mother-in-law. I sprinted toward the door, my breath coming in ragged gasps. My mind screamed one question over and over. Where did she take my baby? I hadn't been married for long, but ever since I got pregnant, my mother-in-law had started acting strangely. She was overly invested in my child, more than what felt normal. At first, I brushed it off, thinking maybe I was being paranoid. But little things started adding up, and I couldn't ignore them. When I decorated my baby's nursery, she said, "You don't need to do all this. He's going to spend most of his time with me anyway." When we discussed baby names, she insisted, "I'll name him. After all, he carries my family's bloodline." Whenever I held my baby close to my chest, rocking him to sleep, I would catch her staring, almost as if I was doing something wrong. Then one day, I overheard a phone conversation that made my blood run cold. She was speaking to someone, her voice low and certain. "Yes, he'll be mine soon. I know exactly what to do." A sharp jolt of fear shot through me. Was she joking? Or was I missing something sinister lurking beneath her words? The more time passed, the weirder her behavior became. The first incident. One night, I woke up suddenly to find her trying to lift my baby from my arms while I slept. The second incident. I started noticing that some of my baby's things were disappearing, his clothes, his bottles, even his favorite blanket. The third incident. I confided in my husband, but he just brushed it off. "Mom's only trying to help. Maybe you're overthinking things." But I knew I wasn't overthinking. Something was definitely wrong. And then came the night that changed everything. When I saw the empty crib, one thought consumed me. This isn't my imagination. She really took my baby. I tried to shake off the unease settling in my chest, but it clung to me like a shadow. Every time I looked at my mother-in-law, something in her gaze felt off. Too calculating. Too possessive. At first, I told myself I was imagining things. I was exhausted from the sleepless nights with my newborn. Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me. But the more I watched her, the clearer it became. Something wasn't right. She insisted on being involved in everything. Holding the baby, changing the diapers, even deciding when he should be fed. If I so much as hesitated, she would purse her lips in disappointment, making me feel like I was an incompetent mother. "Let me take him for the night," she offered one evening, cradling my son in her arms. "You need rest." The way she said it sent a shiver down my spine. There was no warmth in her voice, only possession, like she was staking a claim. I forced a smile. "I appreciate it, but I can handle it." Her eyes flickered with something dark before she plastered on a saccharine smile. "Of course, dear, but just remember I'm always here for you." Her words felt like a warning. Then the little things started happening. I woke up one morning to find a baby's crib empty. My heart nearly stopped. I ran to the living room, only to find my mother-in-law rocking him in her arms, humming softly. "You're sleeping so soundly," she cooed. I didn't want to wake you, but I hadn't been sleeping soundly. I had set an alarm to wake up for his feeding. My phone was nowhere to be found. A chill crawled up my spine. Another time, I caught her whispering to him. At first, I thought it was just grandmotherly affection, but when I got closer, my blood ran cold. "You don't need anyone but me," she murmured, stroking his tiny cheek. "Grandma will take care of everything." That night, I locked the nursery door. But it didn't stop. One afternoon, I found my son wrapped in a different blanket, one I had never seen before. It wasn't from the baby shower. It wasn't a gift from my husband or my family. "Where did this come from?" I asked, holding up the unfamiliar fabric. My mother-in-law barely glanced at me. "Oh, that? I had it made for him. He needs something of his own." Her words sent a wave of nausea through me.
His own?
Like he wasn't mine? I confided in my husband, but he brushed it off. She's just excited to be a grandmother, he said. She loves him. But love wasn't supposed to feel like this. Overpowering, controlling, territorial. Then the text messages started. One night, as I lay in bed, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You should take a break. Let someone more experienced handle things. A second message followed. Mothers aren't the only ones who know best. My throat tightened. I looked at my mother-in-law, sitting on the couch, her phone in hand. She glanced up, smiled. My hands trembled as I turned off my screen. Something was very, very wrong. I couldn't shake the growing dread. It was gnawing at my mind, whispering that I was missing something dangerous. The next morning, I woke up feeling uneasy. My mother-in-law was nowhere to be seen, but an eerie silence filled the house. Usually, she would be hovering over me, offering unsolicited advice or holding the baby before I even had the chance to get him. A strange instinct told me to check the nursery. As I reached for the doorknob, my pulse quickened. The door was unlocked, even though I had locked it the night before. I pushed it open and gasped. The crib was empty. My vision blurred, my breath caught in my throat. For a split second, I thought I might pass out. Where was my baby? I whirled around, my mind racing. Then, I heard it, soft whispers from the guest room. My mother-in-law's voice. I stormed into the room, my heart pounding. She was sitting in the rocking chair, cradling my baby like he was hers. But it wasn't just the sight of her holding him that terrified me. It was what she was saying. "Sure, my sweet boy. You don't have to worry about her anymore. Grandma will take care of you. Grandma will always protect you." I froze in the doorway. She looked up at me, her face calm. But her eyes, were wild with something unhinged. "You shouldn't be up so early," she said smoothly, as if nothing was wrong. I swallowed the bile rising in my throat. "Give him to me." Her smile didn't falter. "He's so peaceful in my arms. I don't want to disturb him." I took a step closer, trying to keep my voice steady. "He's my son. Give him to me." For the first time, her expression darkened. Her fingers tightened around the baby's blanket. "You don't understand," she whispered. "He was never meant to be yours." A cold wave of fear washed over me. "What are you talking about?" I demanded. She let out a breathy, almost dreamy sigh. "I always knew my son would give me a grandchild. A second chance. A perfect baby to raise the right way." Her words sent ice through my veins. "I would have done things differently with him," she continued, her grip tightening. "I won't make the same mistakes this time." Panic surged in my chest. She wasn't just controlling. She wasn't just possessive. She wanted to take my child. And she was serious about it. I tried to stay calm. If I panicked, she might do something reckless. "You're confused," I said, forcing my voice to be gentle. "I know you love him, but he's my baby. You have to give him back." She shook her head, her lips pressing into a thin line.
"No.
I'm doing what's best for him. You don't know what you're doing. You're too young, too careless. He needs someone strong to guide him." My hands clenched into fists. "I will call the police," I warned, my voice sharp now. "If you don't give him to me right now, you will regret it." For the first time, something flickered in her eyes.
Doubt.
She hesitated, looking down at my son. And then he started crying. A shrill, heart-wrenching cry that shattered whatever trance she was in. It was enough. I lunged forward, snatching my baby from her arms before she could react. I stumbled back, holding him close, my heart pounding in my ears. My mother-in-law sat frozen, staring at me in shock. I didn't wait for her to speak. I turned and ran. I ran out of the room, my baby's cries echoing through the house. My heart pounded against my ribs as I clutched him tightly, my mind racing. I had to get out. I had to leave before she tried something again. But as I reached the front door, a hand clamped down on my arm. "You're not taking him anywhere." My mother-in-law's voice was low, dangerous, a tone I had never heard from her before. I spun around, my grip tightening around my son. Get away from me, I hissed. I swear, if you touch me or my baby again. You don't understand, she interrupted, her face contorted with desperation. I am doing what's best for him. My body trembled with rage. You're insane, I shot back. You think you can just steal my child and raise him like he's yours? What is wrong with you? Her expression twisted into something almost pitying. Oh, sweetheart, she whispered, shaking her head. You don't get it, do you? You're just like your own mother. Weak, selfish, unfit. The words stabbed at me. She had always hinted at things like this before, making small, cruel comments. But this was different. You think I don't see it, she continued, stepping closer. The way you struggle. The way you second-guess yourself. You're not ready to be a mother. That baby deserves someone who knows what they're doing. A cold fury burned through me. And you think that's you? My voice was shaking, but not with fear anymore, with rage. You think you have the right to decide who is a fit mother and who isn't. Her lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. I raised a perfect son, she said smugly. I laughed, the sound sharp and bitter. Did you? Because your perfect son doesn't even speak to you half the time. He barely tolerates you. Her face twisted in anger, and for a second, I thought she might actually hit me. You ungrateful little. She lunged. I dodged her at the last second, shoving her back with one arm while keeping a death grip on my baby. She stumbled, knocking into the side table, sending a lamp crashing to the floor. I used the moment to bolt for the door. I wrenched it open and nearly screamed. My husband was standing right there. His eyes widened in shock as he took in the scene. The broken lamp, his mother's disheveled appearance, my wild, terrified expression. What the hell is going on? He demanded. I couldn't speak. The words were stuck in my throat, my whole body still vibrating with adrenaline. But my mother-in-law?
She was good at this.
That silence was everything. I saw it in his face, the realization, the horror. I didn't wait for him to figure out what to do next. I walked past him, stepping out of the house, holding my baby close to my chest. I didn't stop. Not when my mother-in-law started screaming behind me. Not when my husband called my name. I just kept walking, because I was done. I didn't stop walking until I reached my car. My hands were shaking as I fumbled for the keys, my baby fussing against my chest. My mind was spinning, heart racing, but one thought cut through the panic like a blade. I have to protect him. I strapped my baby into his car seat with trembling hands, my ears still ringing from my mother-in-law's shrieks. I half expected her to run out after me, to try and stop me, but she didn't. Instead, my husband's voice rang out from the doorway. Wait. I froze, my fingers hovering over the ignition. He took a few hesitant steps toward the car, his face torn between guilt and confusion. Please just talk to me. I turned to face him, my whole body tense. Talk to you. I let out a bitter laugh. Where was this energy when your mother was trying to turn you against me? Where was this when I was begging you to see what was happening? His jaw clenched. I didn't know. I didn't want to believe. You didn't want to believe because it was easier to ignore, I snapped. Because if you admitted the truth, then you'd have to do something about it. He swallowed hard, his hands balling into fists at his sides. I'll fix this, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I'll talk to her. I'll make sure she never. I cut him off with a sharp shake of my head. It's too late for that. Something flickered in his expression. Fear. Because for the first time he understood. I wasn't coming back. I wasn't going to be the weak, obedient wife his mother had always wanted me to be. I turned back to the car, gripping the wheels so tightly my knuckles went white. I'm taking my son somewhere safe, I said firmly. You can either be a part of his life on our terms, or you can stay here with her. But I will never let her near him again. Silence. Then, I choose you. I froze. Slowly, I turned back to him. His eyes were red-rimmed, his hands shaking just like mine. I should have stood up for you, he whispered. I should have seen what she was doing. I won't let it happen again. I studied him, my heart hammering. Could I trust him? Did he really mean it, or was this just another empty promise? I exhaled shakily. Then prove it. His gaze hardened with determination. He nodded once. Then, without another word, he turned around and walked back into the house to confront her. The days that followed were a blur of legal meetings, restraining orders, and sleepless nights. I stayed at a friend's house while my husband cut his mother out of our lives completely. He changed the locks. He blocked her number. And when she showed up at our door, screaming about how she would never forgive him for choosing me over her, he swallowed hard, his hands balling into fists at his sides. I'll fix this, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I'll talk to her. I'll make sure she never. I cut him off with a sharp shake of my head. It's too late for that. Something flickered in his expression. Fear. Because for the first time, he understood. I wasn't coming back. I wasn't going to be the weak, obedient wife his mother had always wanted me to be. I turned back to the car, gripping the wheel so tightly my knuckles went white. I'm taking my son somewhere safe, I said firmly. You can either be a part of his life on our terms, or you can stay here with her. But I will never let her near him again. Silence. Then, I choose you. I froze. Slowly, I turned back to him. His eyes were red-rimmed, his hands shaking just like mine. I should have stood up for you, he whispered. I should have seen what she was doing. I won't let it happen again. I studied him, my heart hammering. Could I trust him? Did he really mean it? Or was this just another empty promise? I exhaled shakily. Then prove it. His gaze hardened with determination. He nodded once. Then, without another word, he turned around and walked back into the house to confront her. The days that followed were a blur of legal meetings, restraining orders, and sleepless nights. I stayed at a friend's house while my husband cut his mother out of our lives completely. He changed the locks. He blocked her number. And when she showed up at our door, screaming about how she would never forgive him for choosing me over her, he told her in no uncertain terms that she was no longer welcome in our lives. I watched it happen through the window, my stomach twisting. And when she finally left, her face twisted in rage, I felt no relief. Because I knew this wasn't over. Weeks passed, then months. My baby grew stronger, happier, finally safe. But the unease never fully faded. Late at night, I still found myself checking the windows, listening for any strange sounds outside. One evening, as I was rocking my son to sleep, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. A single text message from an unknown number. My blood ran cold as I read the words. You might have won the battle, but the war isn't over. He was never yours to begin with. I dropped the phone, my breath catching in my throat. I knew it was her, and in that moment I realized she wasn't done with me.